We have the beautiful, stunning Tenille Townes on Pure Country. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. I feel like I really needed a chat with you right now in my life because it just always brings me so much joy. So thank you for coming and hanging out with me.
Well, it's very mutual feeling. I always look forward to getting to talk to you. You're just such a bright light of a human.
So are you. I have to ask before we talk about anything to do with trains or music. How's your truck? How's that vehicle?
Oh gosh, it's coming along. It has been quite honestly, like a comedic bit of trying to get this thing running. But this vehicle is the only thing I've driven since high school, and it drove me all the
No.
way from like Graham Prairie, Alberta to Nashville, Tennessee. And so I'm just very attached to it, and it's showing me all the signs that it might be time to let this baby go. So I'm just processing that at the moment.
Yeah, that's why I had to ask because I was like, I know how much this truck means to you and what you two have been through together. So I was like, how are we doing with that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually
fine.
like posting about it on Pure Country and talking about it and like asking like any mechanics out there if you could help her, please send her
Thank you
some
so
tips.
much. Everyone has been so encouraging. They're like, "Have you checked this? Have you?" Everyone thought it was the alternator, which I did too, but I've learned it was not.
You're
Anyways,
learning a lot about vehicles right now, so that's great.
true. I do not know these things naturally, so I'm learning a lot.
Okay, now since we're talking about, I was like, maybe she'll do some track work tapes or
Yeah,
something like that.
that's a
But
great idea.
yeah, like a little comedic spin-off of your
Yeah.
serious work. But just such a cool project that you are releasing. Train track work tapes. Tell me, at what moment during your time on the CP holiday train did you go, hey, maybe I should make some music out here and release it?
Okay, from like moment one, I was so excited just leading up to the trip. Like I kind of had a feeling I was gonna love it. And from the very first show, I was like, wow, this is gonna be something that I will remember for the rest of my life. Like just seeing everybody bundled up in the cold, showing up with all their food bank donations, like having this front row seat to witness the beautiful resilience and like just generosity of the human spirit. It was unbelievable. So I felt so inspired. And on like day 3 or 4, I started journaling in the mornings, and I was just like writing songs faster than I have written songs in so long. And we played 65 shows in 15 days. And there were points of this trip where I felt like I was kind of losing my voice. Like I hadn't done that steadily of touring before. So it wasn't really that smart of me to be writing and recording a project on top of it, but I couldn't help it. I had to write about it.
That's so funny. Yeah, because I mean, I saw videos of like your eyelashes frozen together, literally. And I was like, okay, that is some grueling conditions that it's not easy to just sing in that, weather and stuff like that. And keep in mind, you're doing it some days like 3, 4 shows a day.
Five,
And
6 shows a day
yeah,
sometimes. Yeah.
like, and what people didn't realize is that like when she's stepping off the stage, she's going back to record an EP.
Yeah, it was so kind of wild and it was a crazy thing to do, but it was so much fun and it turned out so great. We literally would run from the show, and as the train was traveling to the next town, we'd be like putting down an acoustic pass and getting some harmonies, and then we'd run and go play the other show. And we literally recorded this thing in my train room and on the caboose of this train. And I was so, it was cold and it was crazy conditions and all the things, but I was so blown away that people were showing up. I was like, if you guys are coming to listen to this and be a part of this and take this in, like it is an honor to get to stand up here and whatever the weather might be. So we had so much fun. I'm so glad that we got to make a little recording time capsule of this whole adventure. And I hope that when people listen to it, they feel like they're right there riding on the train with us, because that was the goal. It was like, let's keep all the rattle of the tracks. And, we're like all going past the crossing in the middle of some of these songs. And it's like, it's part of the fabric of it. So it's all right there. I hope people feel like they're on the ride.
Ah, that is so cool. And that it just says so much to like anyone who doesn't know you quite as well as I do. It's just proof that like how much music is just literally rushing through your veins, because most people would be like, I get to go on a train, I'm going to sit in my, room and have a cup of tea and like get some time off and relax. Like, not you. No, no, no. You're like, I'm inspired. I'm going to write, I'm going to record. But that is truly like what makes you stand out in such a special way, is that music never stops for you.
Oh, thank you for that. It is the greatest joy to me to be able to, I don't know, experience the world through the lens of music like this. So I'm really glad to get to kind of just write about whatever we're feeling in the moment. And this trip was like a this was the first time we've kind of recorded something remotely like that. So we were borrowing gear from the stage car. Like we literally were, my drummer like made a drum kit out. He borrowed the snare drum and then he's like making shakers out of the cereal bowls and playing triangle on the teacups. And we had a suitcase for a kick drum. It was quite an adventure to throw it all together.
That is so cool. Did you film any of this happening?
We did, and all of
Good.
it was mostly filmed like on our phones for so to share on socials and stuff. So it's all like short clips vertically, but it really does. If we've been trying to string them together into something to be able to tell the story, and even in its short little bursts, it's like, wow, this really was quite a story.
That is so cool. Okay, so 5 songs on it, and I like most of them you wrote yourself. But there's one song on there that you did not write. You decided to do a cover, and like, what an iconic, huge song to decide to do. What made you go, "Hey, Stevie Nicks, Landslide, we're putting this on here"? Because it's incredible, but also like it's just cool for me to see an artist take such a personal piece of work and then feel like this song needed to be included in it as well.
Yeah, well, I literally was watching, it was so hypnotizing to just sit in my train room and like watch what was happening outside of the windows as we were driving through these remote parts of Canada. And something about the way the evergreens were just flying past me, I kept being haunted by the melody of Landslide, and I was getting these memories coming back to me of my dad and I listening to that song on his little yellow radio in his garage, and how we would watch Jack Frost and how sad and like, oh, heartbreaking that movie is. And every time that song comes on in that movie, it just is like such an emotional, pivotal moment for me. So all of that was coming back to me as I was looking out the window, and I'd never thought about this song like under the umbrella of the traveling spirit, and how it's kind of like you kind of feel like you're constantly the one leaving people behind, saying goodbye, and like kind of being forced to change and just keep going because that's what you have to do as a dreamer or as somebody who's just chasing after something. And this song has just meant different things for me in different seasons of my life, but it hit me in this moment of of kind of encompassing this idea of, and the sadness sometimes of being a traveling spirit. And I was like, I think this needs to be a part of the narrative of this season of my life right now. So we did a version of it sitting in the back of the caboose. It's just one take from top to bottom, sitting on this moving train. So that was really a special thing to get to include.
So cool. Is there a song out of the 4 that you wrote that you are maybe like just a little more excited for fans to hear, that's maybe just a little extra special?
Well, there was a really fun moment on a song called Pieces of My Heart where we were all singing harmonies together that was really special to me in the process. And like, oh, I can't wait for everyone to hear this. But song wise for me, I think it's probably Wheels, which was
Okay.
the most like, I guess, terrifying to write about, but also the easiest to write about because the truth in that to me is so unfiltered of the struggle that I feel of like figuring out swinging between the highs and the lows of coming on and off the road. And this train ride was like one of the greatest highs. And I knew like 3 days in how much it was going to really affect me to come off of that high. And I was dreading it in the middle of enjoying it. At the same time, I was also like, oh, this train's gonna stop and it's gonna be really hard. And I wrote about that in this song called Wheels. And I think, it's, I hope people listen to it and feel like it's kind of like dreading the end of the summer camp coming to an end, or like that
Yeah.
feeling of like anytime something you feel like you're in the middle of a really special moment and you're like, oh, like I know this is gonna suck when it ends. And that was sort of the emotion spinning around me in that song.
So cool. I can't wait to see people's reaction to this music because it's so special. Last thing before we go, because in the country music industry, just being, on the other side of it, you see, there's pressure behind releasing specific types of songs and all that. I need to know, what did your team think when you were like, guys, we use cereal boxes and tinfoil and suitcases, and then we're able to like put together this incredibly special project. Were they like just over the moon shocked that you put this beautiful piece of work together?
Yeah, I think it was pretty comical at first. They were like, "I'm sorry, what is this train ride?" Like they were also just trying to wrap their minds around what the holiday train was, and like, you played how many shows and you were on it for how many days, and like, how did you record something? Like we were just trying to like explain it. And then finally we were just like, just wait, like we'll send you the music, and they heard it and it was like, "Oh, we get this now. Like this is so cool, and what a unique story, is something different than any of the music we've put out to this point, and it's really a time capsule for the adventure." So I'm really grateful everybody was just as excited as I was, going, "Okay, this crazy idea could be something, we should share this."
Uh, I'm sure your team is just always like, wake up in the morning, what new crazy idea is Tenille going to have today? And they are always incredible, but I feel like that's what makes you so special, is you are not afraid to just, try something new, push the boundary a little bit. And it's so true to who you are, which I think is so special. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Track Worktapes, Tenille Townes. It is so cool. Everyone go check it out. And thank you for hanging out with me on Pure Country.
Thanks for having me, Shannon. Good to see you guys.